Today I've got the Klarus XT11GT Pro. This is similar in design to a lot of other Klarus lights. You can see it there with the box, and the box, nice white box with picture of the light. Not a life-size picture of the light, of course, but picture of the light and some of the highlights. 3300 lumens. We'll throw 410 meters, so really long distance and throw with this, and just some other basic stuff on the box, and we'll get that out of the way. Like I said, it is similar design language to a lot of other Klarus lights. Here it is compared to the XT21C. You can see very similar. The XT11GT Pro is actually a little bit smaller, but because of the difference, I think, in the reflectors, it throws 100 meters farther. The XT21C has that orange peel reflector, and the XT11GT Pro has that very smooth, deep reflector. But like I said, similar design language. If you're familiar with other Klarus lights and their tail button functioning, you'll be familiar with this one. We'll get this one out of the way. And before we get to the light, let me just show you the stuff that comes with it. You get the light and the box, of course. You get a belt clip case. If you're familiar with the different styles of belt clip cases, I would say there is the kind of flimsy, lightweight belt clip cases, and then there is the very sturdy, stiff ones, and this is of the sturdy, stiff variety. You can see it's not the super soft, pliable, but it's got good quality feel to it. It opens up with Velcro here. The light goes down in there, and then it closes. On the back, there is a D-ring, and then you can open the Velcro here and put that through your belt or any other loops that you need to put it through, or there's also a secondary loop here that you can put your belt through. So several different methods that you can lock that onto something. There's the instruction manual, of course. You can download this, so I'm not going to go through that. They give you a bag with a lanyard and an extra ring, and a USB-A to USB-C cable because this light is rechargeable. Now, looking at the light itself, this light retails for $89.95, $90. I'll put some links down below. You can check it out down there. And getting just some of the basics and the specs of the way out of this light, this puts out, like you saw on the box, up to 3,300 lumens. It is a very throwy light because of that deep, smooth reflector, and it will throw a rated 410 meters. It has the Klarus standard tail switch, the main switch, the primary, and then the mode switch, and it's kind of a paddle design right there. You can see how that works there. We'll get back into the functioning of that in a little bit. Back there on the tail, there are two spots that you can put the lanyard, and those are in the solid parts of that tail cap. The tail cap does come off, and on the inside comes with the included 3100 milliamp hour 18650 battery. You can use, aside from this battery, if you don't want this, you can use two CR123s, so a couple different battery options for this light. And then on the inside here, there are dual springs, so that is going to lock that battery in there, make it very stable. O-ring here to help with that IPX8 rating, and seal it back up. The pocket clip is removable and move aroundable depending on where you want to place it. Maybe you want to place it so you can feel it, and then you have it in your fingers there, and your fingers go right to the button there. I think that's a good idea. That way you know kind of where the buttons are in relation to your hand. On the side of the light, there is some light texturing there. I don't think there is going to be any underclip issues there. The pocket clip turns up very nicely, so this goes into your pocket nice. Not going to have any issues with deep fabric there, and not really any underclip issues because that texturing is not really deep or sharp. Moving forward to that, there are some deep indentations here in the head, and those can help with heat sinks and heat dissipation. However, I will say this does get pretty warm, especially when you have this on the higher modes for any extended period of time. Right here is the USB-C port. This little rubber piece seals down onto there to seal that up for water rating, and you can see the USB-C port in there, and I will talk about that also in a little bit. Up to the front here, there is a crenellated bezel, and down in there is that LED and that deep smooth reflector. Now, like I mentioned, this light is rechargeable, and it's rechargeable by putting a USB-C cable into that USB-C port right there. Now, my only issue with it is that you almost have to use the one that comes with it, because it was my experience that when I used one of the other USB cables that I had, it didn't fit in here. I think because it's just a little bit wider than this one is, and because that USB-C port is kind of set down in there, if you use a different cable. Like the white one I have, when you plug it in, you can see that there is no charging, versus if you use the one that comes with the light, you plug that in and you can see that light lights up to show you that the light is charging. That will light up red as the light charges. So you just have to be careful with the USB-C cables you're using to charge this light. It may or may not fit with some of the other USB-C cables that you might already have. The user interface of this light has two different modes. It has an outdoor mode and a tactical mode, and I think it's nice that you can separate them. So depending on the type of use that you're going to do with this, if you're using it for home defense versus your law enforcement versus you're just using it as an everyday kind of light, you can set it in that mode and you can get between the two of them fairly simple. Now to show you those two modes, they work with the two tail buttons here. There's the primary button, and in the regular outdoor mode, you can half press it and it will come on, or you can full press it and it will stay on. From that mode, when it's on, you use the mode selector button and it will alternate between the four modes: turbo, high, medium, and low, and you can see some of the run times there. Pretty good amount of run times. On that 3300 lumens, you're gonna get 1.8 hours out of that. I will say this head does get really pretty warm if you have it on for any extended period of time, but you're not going to need almost 2 hours of this 3300 lumens. There's also an SOS mode, and you get to that when the light is on by holding down the mode selector button for 5 or 10 seconds, and you'll see that it starts flashing there. Long, long, or short, 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 long, long, long. That is 200 lumens. That's going to give that for a good long run time. And then there's also a strobe that's in the tactical mode. So that's the outdoor mode. So just to go over that one more time, momentary or full press. When it's on, you can go through the brightnesses with the selector button, that's secondary, and it works really well for just going back and forth between the two of them. When the light's off, it's also momentary for whatever you had it selected on, or you can just hold it and it will go off. You always have to use the big button to turn it on or off, but if you hold the side button down and you leave it for an extended period of time, it will come on, stay on, and then you can ramp up through the brightnesses with that one. So interestingly, you can either ramp up or ramp down. If you use the main button to turn the light on, you then use the selector button to ramp down through the brightnesses. You can see bright, down, down, down. However, if you turn the light on from the mode selector button there, it comes on and then you can ramp up through the brightnesses. Small thing to note, if you have a preference, you can go either way and then use the primary button to turn it off. Now when you turn the light on, there is this light right here that will give you an idea of the charge. Green for greater than 70%, orange 30 to 70, red less than 30, and flashing red less than 10. You can see it only stays on for a few seconds when you turn it on, but that will give you an idea of how much it's charged. Now to get between the outdoor and the tactical, or vice versa, you hold down the selector button for about 10 seconds until this light starts flashing red, and then you press the main button and it's now in the other mode. And in the tactical mode, the main button is momentary for turbo, that 3300 lumens, and the selector button is the strobe. Will it stay in the strobe? Yes, if you hold it down long enough, it will stay in the strobe. And you can see it's a variable strobe. That strobe is 3300 lumens, so it is a really bright strobe, and then you can click it back off. The momentary, again, you can full press it on, click it on, and then you can use that selector button to ramp down through the brightnesses. If you turn it on with the strobe, and the strobe is going, and then you click the main button, it's going to come on to that turbo every time. Now the beam pattern on this, like I mentioned, because of that deep smooth reflector, this has a fairly narrow, very throwy beam. It's rated to throw 410 meters. Realistically, are you going to be able to see over 4 football fields? Probably not, just because with the particulate in the air, you're not going to be able to see that far anyway, but this does have a really focused throwy beam, and you're going to be able to reach out and light up some stuff far away because of the beam pattern on this. So uses for this light, plenty of uses. It is a little bit big to carry in your pocket because of the big head, depending on what kind of pants you're wearing. If you're wearing something tight, this is going to be a little bit, probably more than you're going to want to carry in your pocket. If you've got something more baggy or a cargo pocket, then no problem carrying this in there, or you can carry it with the belt clip case. You can keep this light next to your bed, and if something's in the middle of the night, you can grab the light and you can put it onto that turbo. Momentary, you can sweep your house with it or click it full on and go search. You're probably not going to need that full 3300 lumens in your house, but it is there if you need it, or if you are in law enforcement and you're out somewhere in the dark, maybe you want to blind someone with the light and it gets really hot on your hand when you're up close. If you're not using it in that kind of function, to get back to the other mode, you hold down the side button again. It is going to strobe for a while. This light starts flashing red. Press the mode button and you're now into the everyday mode. And so you can turn this on. It will come on to whatever it turned off on, in this case the low, ramping through the different brightnesses. So this makes both a good tactical light because of that momentary, and you can set the momentary, leave it on high, so even in the regular everyday mode, you can still use this as a momentary type light. Just leave it on that turbo, or if you know you probably don't need that much, leave it on low, and it will always come onto the low, and you can momentary it at low. So plenty of uses in both a tactical type use and an everyday type use for this light. So check this one out, the Klarus XT11GT Pro.